Mother Teresa, a funeral of the highest order for a woman who devoted her life to the people at the bottom. Her work, her faith, her adopted country, most of all, her heart, celebrated by the mighty and the ordinary in Calcutta.
From NBC News, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw, reporting tonight from Calcutta.
Good evening from Calcutta, the final resting place for Mother Teresa, a woman who devoted her life to the poorest of the poor here and around the world. And in that life and in her work, she was widely considered to be a living saint. Today, she was given a funeral fit for a saint. We begin tonight with NBC's George Lewis, the final rites of Mother Teresa.
She probably would not have liked all this pomp and ceremony, those who knew Mother Teresa said, but her adopted country felt it could do no less for the woman who was known as the Saint of the Gutters. So an elaborate state funeral which ended a week of mourning by rich and poor alike. Her body, draped in the flag of India, was placed on the same gun carriage which transported the bodies of Mahatma Gandhi and India's first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, at their funerals. From time to time, people would run out into the street trying to get close to Mother Teresa. Tens of thousands of Calcuttans stood outdoors in 90-plus degree weather, in high humidity and occasional monsoon downpours to get one last glimpse at Mother Teresa. Her body was brought to an indoor stadium for a funeral mass celebrated by 10 archbishops and cardinals. The congregation included the high and the mighty and the poorest of the poor, about 12,000 people. Queens, prime ministers, and presidents were among the foreign dignitaries representing 23 nations here.
Welcome, Mother Teresa, to paradise, and help us to comfort each other through Christ our Lord. Amen.
As the choir sang "Abide with Me," Cardinal Angelo Sodano, the papal representative who led the Mass, blessed Mother Teresa's body with incense. Sister Nirmala, who now replaces Mother Teresa as the head of the Missionaries of Charity, delivered one of the eulogies.
The best way to show this gratitude to God for our mother would be to pledge ourselves to carry on what God has begun through her so beautifully among us.
First Lady Hillary Rodham Clinton was among the foreign dignitaries laying wreaths beside Mother Teresa's coffin. Following the Mass, Mother Teresa's body was once again carried through the streets of Calcutta to the headquarters of her Missionaries of Charity, a place known here as Mother House. Many people shouted, "Long live Mother Teresa! Mother Teresa is immortal." She was buried in a private ceremony surrounded by the Sisters of the Missionaries of Charity, many of whom wept as her body was laid to rest in the courtyard of Mother House. Outside, a final rifle salute from the Indian Army for a woman of peace who touched so many lives here and around the world. George Lewis, NBC News, Calcutta.
Mother Teresa began her work among the poor here in Calcutta because simply there was so much work to do here. Calcutta is an intellectual center for India. It's also the former British capital. But this city is alive with the energy of people trying to hold off death day to day. NBC's Ned Cole tonight on the poorest of the poor.
Among mourners lining the streets today were those who were synonymous with the city of Calcutta and with Mother Teresa's work here, the poor. Calcutta is a sprawling city of glaring contrast between a small group of the rich and the vast majority who are desperately poor. They don't live in apartments. They have a hard time just surviving. Close to 600,000 people here live, sleep, eat, and die on the streets, as close to 5% of a population of 11 million. 20-year-old Abir typifies Calcutta's poor. He had no time to take today off for Mother Teresa's funeral. He had to work, as he does 7 days a week, Still, it's not enough to support his 6 brothers and sisters. His mother says more often than not, her children go to bed hungry. That's typical here. The United Nations says more than 2/3 of India's children are malnourished. Thousands end up in Mother Teresa's missions, unwanted in a city with a surplus of those who can't fend for themselves. That's where First Lady Hillary Clinton went today after the funeral, saying the world must continue to support the work Mother Teresa began to help those who have nowhere else to turn. Ned Colt, NBC News, Calcutta.
I'll have more from Calcutta later in the program, but now here's my colleague Brian Williams in New York. Brian?
Tom, thanks. All over the world today, church services were dedicated to Mother Teresa, and tonight the Vatican is bracing for a massive lobbying effort to demand that the church bestow upon her its highest honor. She was called a living saint for decades. With her burial today, the campaign on behalf of Agnes Gonja Bayaju can begin now in earnest. This is the part of the Vatican where they investigate the lives of the nominated. This is where Mother Teresa's paperwork will be processed. The Congregation for the Causes of the Saints is now working on 1,500 cases. 200 are awaiting the final vote. The process is designed to go slowly. For centuries, a 50-year minimum wait was required before the deceased could even be nominated. Now that period has been reduced to only 5 years, and the Pope has the power to waive even that. The first step, beatification, comes after a careful review of the candidate's life and verification of a miracle. Canonization, the final act, comes after even more thorough study of the candidate's life and verification of a second miracle. Just under a month ago, Pope John Paul II beatified the 19th century doctor who founded the St. Vincent de Paul Society. Last June, he elevated a former queen of Poland to sainthood in a ceremony in his hometown of Krakow. There have been 279 newly named saints in the 19 years since Pope John Paul II was made Pope. Catholics worldwide are certain that Mother Teresa will ascend quickly, but there's no way of knowing how quickly. That Vatican office closes about 25 cases a year, and of course not every candidate becomes a saint. Officially, even the Vatican can't say just how many saints there already are. More on Mother Teresa and her legacy a bit later on. We'll be back with some of the day's other news in just a moment. It is far out in the Pacific and has lost some of its fury since yesterday, but Hurricane Linda is still a big concern for the west coast of the United States. Our report from NBC's Stan Bernard tonight.
The eye of Hurricane Linda is still more than 300 miles offshore, but she's so big and powerful, the effects are already being felt on Mexican beaches in Baja California. Mexican beach resorts have been closed. Earlier today, she was packing sustained winds of 175 miles an hour and gusting much higher. She's now a Category 4 storm, has eased off to 150 miles an hour, but is more than 600 miles wide. When and if Linda hits the California coast, she would likely be only a powerful tropical storm. This hurricane hunter will fly into the eye of the storm tomorrow to get a better fix on its punch and direction. San Diego-based commercial fishing boats are running into port, tying up, getting crews to safety before the potentially big blow. This fisherman's been out in hurricanes.
It's a scary feeling. There's nowhere to go, and there's no one direction that you can go that's better than another direction. And you take the swells from one direction, the wind's coming from another, and when winds reach at 200 miles an hour, actually can blow the pilot house right off.
Normally, hurricanes lose punch off California, but El Nino, very warm Pacific water, has given this storm a kick. Stan Bernard, NBC News.
We're joined tonight from the National Hurricane Center by Acting Director Jerry Jarrell. Mr. Jarrell, are we like to see more of this kind of thing in these El Nino conditions?
Well, I think the fact that we have storms out there probably are not related much to El Nino. The fact that it's as strong as it is might be a little bit related to El Nino. The fact that it could threaten the California coast is related to El Nino.
If, in fact, it hits the California coast, will that at least help with the drought that they've been having there?
Well, this is the dry season in California, and the kind of rains this is going to bring, if indeed it arrives, and that should be about Tuesday, is not welcome, because this will cause flash floods and mudslides. So Yes, indeed. It will bring rain, but probably not to anybody's liking.
Thank you very much for your time tonight, Jerry Jarrell at the National Hurricane Center. There is word from Paris tonight that French police are preparing to reconstruct the car accident that killed Princess Diana. At the site of the accident, in that tunnel, according to news reports, photographers who were following the car that night will be present. Meantime, the musical tribute first heard during Princess Diana's funeral has gone on sale now in Europe. NBC's Richard Roth is in London tonight.
It was a record breaker at record stores across Britain as soon as sales began at midnight.
Goodbye, road, may you ever grow in our heart.
A week to the day after Elton John performed the rewritten song Candle in the Wind at Diana's funeral. At a London store, a woman from Brunei bought 40 copies to take home.
Everybody's crazy about this, you know. They've been listening and, seeing the TV after the princess died.
Some stores limited sales, but that didn't stop the sellout.
My sons still haven't got over it. My family hasn't got over it. And it's a beautiful song, beautifully sung, and very, very, very important to me indeed.
250,000 copies were sold in Britain today, leaving shelves empty by this afternoon while manufacturers were making more. Industry officials say worldwide sales could reach 8 million copies, yielding more than $16 million for the charity set up in Diana's name, which has already collected more than $300 million. Today at Diana's family home, they were collecting flowers left outside the gate. It was the same outside London's Kensington Palace, where volunteers were carting off tributes to the princess, even as a pilgrimage of mourners placed new ones in her memory. And one coastal town removed its shrine with a ceremony offshore, where one white lily was added to bouquets scattered on the sea. Richard Roth, NBC News, London.
And when NBC Nightly News continues in a moment this Saturday evening, thunder from America's religious right. In focus this evening, the Christian Coalition and the cloud it carries with political conservatives. We get our report tonight from NBC's Chip Reed.
What do we want to see?
In Atlanta this weekend, the leadership of the Christian Coalition gathered to plot strategy and to hear from a parade of Republican presidential hopefuls who clearly tailored their speeches to fit the audience.
Victory is going to be ours to those who believe in Jesus Christ, our Lord. Thank you.
In 1988, the Christian Coalition was formed from the ashes of Reverend Pat Robertson's presidential campaign, and in less than a decade has grown to become one of the most powerful forces in American politics. Under the political leadership of its boyish-looking executive director, Ralph Reed, it set the tone of the 1996 election.
The Christian Coalition has been profoundly influential. It's moved the Republican Party sharply to the right.
With 2 million active members, the coalition has revived the art of grassroots politics, giving out millions of voter guides each election recommending conservative candidates, especially strong opponents of abortion.
And I know that the best is yet to come for this organization.
But today, the organization stands at a crossroads, with Reed, a key strategist, leaving to become a political consultant. And savvy politicians like President Clinton have moved to the center. In 1996, he captured 25% of the evangelical vote. Some political analysts say the coalition has hit a plateau, but Pat Robertson says otherwise.
We want to double our membership. We want to double our budget. We want to double our grassroots infrastructure. We want to double everything we do.
Robertson will be helped by grateful congressional Republicans.
Around and with your help, passed the first tax cuts in 16 years, and they would not have passed without the Christian Coalition's active support all the way through.
But behind the scenes, the Christian coalitions and congressional Republicans are fighting. The coalition claims the Republican Congress has lost its way, focusing almost exclusively on taxes and budget and ignoring the important moral issues of the day. Chip Reed, NBC News, Washington.
Now to the topic of campaign finance reform. Once again, President Clinton, whose 96 campaign fundraising tactics are now under investigation, called on Congress today to enact reform legislation this fall. He said the current system is broken and that all parties should work together to fix it. Campaign finance reform will be a topic tomorrow on NBC's Meet the Press. Congressman Dan Burton, whose hearings begin next week, is among Tim Russert's guests. He'll also hear from William Weld on his battle with Senator Jesse Helms over his nomination to be ambassador to Mexico. When we continue here, Election Day in a one-time war zone. There was a big vote in Bosnia today. Elections that were supposed to help get back for people through ballots what they lost during the war. But as NBC's Jim Maceda reports, intentions in Bosnia are one thing. Reality, though, can be quite different.
Postponed for nearly a year, the two-day election for local leaders is on. Bosnians finally are voting, not fighting, for their future. There was some violence. A blast in one party headquarters in Sarajevo broke windows but injured no one. A beefed-up NATO troop presence is on full alert. And international organizers, who have spent $14 million on the ballot, are already claiming victory.
The people are happy to be here voting because the only way to overcome the problems of this country is by democracy.
But this is democracy Bosnia style. Hundreds of thousands of refugees choosing by absentee ballot local representatives who are themselves refugees from hometowns they dare not return to, now in the hands of the enemy. Mevlida, a Muslim, says she's voted because she hopes it's a first step towards getting her house back, now in Serb territory. And that's why several thousand refugees braved the trip by bus and escorted by NATO troops over front lines to vote in polling stations close to their hometowns and villages. Western officials hope that some of these towns will change hands peacefully through this election, blurring the stark ethnic lines that divide the country.
There has to be the reestablishment of an authentic, fully functioning, multi-ethnic society characterized by the rule of law.
But many predict Bosnians will vote through fear and choose the same nationalist leaders in peace that split the nation in war. But a very small number of towns just might change hands, leaving NATO to face its biggest challenge. Either enforce the election results or do nothing and turn Bosnia's fledgling democracy into a farce. Jim Maceda, NBC News, Sarajevo.
And when NBC Nightly News continues in a moment, we'll go back to Tom Brokaw in Calcutta for a look at an American missionary mourning the loss of her role model.
Back in Calcutta now, where the legacy of Mother Teresa will go well beyond the slums of this city and well beyond her faith of Roman Catholicism. Many who came to work with her and learn from her were from other faiths. 4-year-old Pinky Seal, once abandoned, now lives in a 5 by 10-foot shack. Pinky's adopted parents work hard to earn the equivalent of 90 cents a day, their sole income. There's no money for school for Pinky, but she's welcome here 6 days a week. It's the charity of Pramila Papamani, the Calcutta Emmanuel Ministries.
They come on these trains, they're lost, they've run away, they've been abandoned, and they all tend to come to the main stations in main cities. Something had to be done for them, you know, so we just did what we could.
The Papamani home became the Emmanuel's Ministries, sanctuary for Calcutta's poorest. That, in turn, attracted Lisa Garbers, an American missionary from La Crosse, Wisconsin.
It's really important that what they learn here, whether it's just the love that's shown them or just the studies that they're learning, they're given a second chance. You can't fully understand it unless you're here experiencing it.
This is Lisa's second tour in India. She'll be here 6 months.
And at the school you teach, what, a variety of things, music and everything?
Yes, a variety. I teach general hygiene. I mean, the basics, like washing your hands and germs and music.
Oh, you gave me a heart and you gave me a smile. You blessed me, Jesus, and you made me a child.
It's important for these children to learn music because it enlightens the soul. It's a freeness, and it's a form of expression, and they really enjoy it.
Calcutta is a city that tests the resolve of everyone.
The way I've prepared myself for working here is just to expect the worst. At times it can be difficult to see the poverty on the road. And it can be overwhelming because it's like you can only do so much. And sometimes it's just an awful feeling to realize you can't help and touch every life.
Lisa was one of the last to meet Mother Teresa, only 2 days before she died.
When you think of her now that she's gone, do you think it'll help you carry on your work? Because it's not easy doing what you're doing.
Things that I have learned from her, like her unconditional love and compassion, have been an inspiration to me, and that is something I want to incorporate into my ministry.
Lisa Garbers will carry on, in her own way, the work of Mother Teresa. And today, she paid her final respects to the woman she called Mother.
I feel very fortunate to have seen her before she passed away. Very fortunate.
It has been a remarkable 7 days, 1 week, 2 funerals, 2 women from such different backgrounds with such distinctively different lifestyles. Mother Teresa and Princess Diana. One almost certainly destined for sainthood, the other one already undergoing a form of pop cult deification. 1 week, 2 funerals, 2 women, and for just a moment, the whole world was united in its sense of a common loss.